Okay. Hi, Allison.
Hello.
We are back
We are
for
back.
90 Day Fiance, Season 8, Episode 11, Three's a Party. Indeed. So,
Indeed. What an episode this was.
yeah, there was a lot of, it got pretty heavy at times. So,
Yes.
we're going to try to stay very light, but there are some things that are unavoidable we have to discuss. So, we are just going to power through. So, our favorite couple was back. They had a week off, so it was nice to see Brandon and Julia back.
But was
We've
it
well,
nice?
no. No, and this was a waste of an episode. They wasted the entire episode on nothing. But sometimes I wonder if there just really isn't that much content. So they're like, well, we're going to do a whole episode on are we or aren't we pregnant?
It seemed very contrived to me. It seemed
Yes.
like maybe somebody made it up for a storyline or something.
Yeah, because 'cause you'd see these kind of like, they'd almost be grinning, do you know what I mean? And Brandon's grin alone is quite haunting, so
It is.
the forced grin is even worse, because when they start out, they're in the car, and I actually almost wanted to be like, "Well, where are you guys going?" Because I feel like they don't go anywhere, so that was kind of exciting.
It was so random too. Like it was just it was a very weird situation. Like
Yes.
he's reading like billboards about weights at ERs. Like for what reason, I'm not quite sure, and she doesn't
Yeah.
feel good, like, you can tell she's, like, rolling down the window and, like, sniffing the air, and,
Mhm.
uh,
She had
yeah,
that face, and we all know that face where it's like, "I am going to throw up." And at first I was like, "Well, she's in the car with Brandon, so I guess I understand this face she probably makes all the time." But no, she's saying, "I feel sick. Are we?" And, his eyes, he has this awful look that it and then they go back. We get a nice flashback of him reminding us about his pullout game. I did
ugh,
not need to hear it the first time. I don't need to hear it the second time with that awful smirk, like, you know what I'm good at. Ugh.
ew, so
Gross.
gross.
Did you notice in his ITMs, he sits like a girl on Instagram would wanna push her boobies together, so he kinda sits like this. Are you
I've never I've not, but I'm gonna go back now and
You gotta
look,
go back because 'cause I'm like,
and I
"Why are
won't be
you
able to
sitting
unsee
like
it.
that?" Yeah, his arms are very, very oddly placed, so, uh, I see these weird things and I can't quite shake it. So, they kinda drag this out, but then he
Yes.
has the brilliant idea, which I'm sure you have thoughts on. Before we take a pregnancy test, let's talk to the parents.
Poor poor Julia cannot vomit without him telling his mom about it. Like, I'm like,
Yeah,
"What
it's
are we
very
doing
strange.
here? I don't understand. Why would you go and report Julia's, illness or whatever it might be to your mom without knowing?" And he's like, "I think we should tell my mom. I think we should tell my parents." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Why? Like, isn't he almost 30 years old?
Yes, yes.
Like, it's time." Like, so I didn't watch it, but there was a show on TLC called something like A Mama's Boy or I'm Marrying a Mama's Boy.
Mhm.
I think that they should have been on that show
Yeah.
because I have never seen anything like that. And I'm sorry, but if I was marrying or thinking about marrying a man that needs to like ask his mom permission for everything, that would be a deal breaker.
Yeah, and that is what happens because I've actually seen this before where a man has his mom do everything, and then, like, they can't, make a phone call and, they can't do anything, so
Make a doctor's appointment. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, "Oh my gosh, I can't use the phone, it's scary." So,
Yeah. People are
he's
scary.
definitely entered that territory, and it's odd. So, then they go out to sitting on the porch.
Yes.
Which I tried to watch this a few times, I couldn't stop looking at the puppy. I guess I have that, like, "Oh, it's a puppy," and that's all I'm gonna look at, so
It
I
was cute.
missed the Jenga fun, I suppose, sadly, but
Well,
ye
did you notice during Jenga that what's his name? Ron, the dad?
Ron.
I've blocked it out because I can't stand these people. but he says during Jenga to Julia, he's like, "You gonna pull it out
Yes, yes,
at the
I
Jenga?"
did.
Ball?" I was like, "Is that symbolic
Yes.
or like
Ugh, I could see the
foreshadowing?"
boy time while they're out, like, brushing the horses, they're bragging to each other about their pullout game, and that's when
Oh,
I, pass out a little bit, so,
yeah.
oh, yeah. It wasn't subtle, I think you're right, that was not subtle, I think,
Mhm.
there was some form of innuendo there, so
Uh-huh.
lovely.
Yeah.
So, they just drag this out, and it's kind of a bummer when you hear people talk about, like, how much they don't want to be pregnant, so it's kinda like, "Oh, okay." We all know that it's not a good time for them, but good gracious.
It's
Like, what
yeah, I mean, that was a little over the top for me too. First of all,
Mhm.
they're not 16 years old. Like, they're
Right.
adults. They can
Mhm.
handle it if that happens. Like, it's not the end of the world. It's not the worst thing in the world. In some ways, I was thinking maybe it's something that like would kick Brandon in the pants a little bit to grow up a little bit.
Sure.
um I've seen that happen before where it's like there's no sense of urgency or responsibility for anything, and then people have a child that they weren't expecting, and it's like, hey, they got their
Yeah.
acts together.
Something turns on, yes.
Yeah, maybe it's not a responsibility you want that moment, but it certainly isn't something that is a tragedy. I mean, I was like, okay, this is a little much,
Right.
Betty and
Plus, like, they're
Ron.
on TV, so, like, I
Well, not
think
only that,
they're gonna
but
be
like,
doing okay.
yeah, and there's people like, and it like it's kind of like a dicey subject because there's people that try to have kids forever and they
Mhm.
can't, and it's like, kids aren't convenient, like, period. Like, they don't, like, when they come out they do what they want, like, they don't come usually when you want, like, that's just life,
Yeah.
like, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
So, like, if you're lucky enough to have a child, like, and you're not doing anything to prevent that, like, I don't know why it's a big surprise to anyone, and I don't understand why it's a tragedy, but
Yeah, now I thought this would have been a good time for Betty to go on her birth control,
yes.
tangent. I mean, she's aggressive with it, but it would have been a good way to be like, "Hey, look, if we wanna prevent this, I can help you." You kinda go as "You're a woman, and I'm a woman you can talk to." There's a nice way of doing that, but
Yeah.
Julia just she's not feeling the birth control, so, I guess he's gonna have to keep going with his pulling out, so,
Doesn't she know that there's, like, other things that you can take that don't require medicine?
well,
Like,
she said, "I'm not gonna drink that." I was like, "I didn't even know of a birth control drink," so,
I think
Mike
it's like a
maybe it
language barrier
wasn't.
thing. I find it endearing when she says stuff like that, though, I don't know why.
Oh, yeah, it's cute. No,
Yeah.
for sure. So that was all we got out of them this week. It kinda
Yes.
felt like a burner, episode, but, I
Yes.
think next week we wedding dress shop, so I'm very excited for
Oh,
that.
I am too.
Yes.
So for everyone at home that didn't see the episode, she's not pregnant.
Oh, I should have said that. She tried to pull a Yara though, even if for
She
like
did.
5 seconds, and she pulled it off because she's like, "I don't understand what this means, come look." So, she did a good job,
He kinda deserved it for the mom
yes,
thing.
yes. So,
So,
I did enjoy that.
yeah, me
Okay.
too.
So, we're moving into, like, bummer central here. We're gonna go to Stephanie and Ryan.
Oh, boy. This
Um,
took a dark turn.
yeah, and, you know, I this wasn't something I've heard of before, I'm going to be very honest. I mean, the concept, I guess, exists, but, apparently the first time, she'd been wanting to have the love-in, and they finally get down to business, and he pulls what I guess is called stealthing on her in the middle of sex, which means they're having sex, and he removes the condom that she's demanding he wear. So, this, to be very clear, is a form of sexual assault.
Yeah,
So,
that's
like, it's not funny, we don't take it light, unfortunately,
it was
I
messed up. I was
yeah,
I was watching it and I was stunned because the last episode we were left with, oh, crazy Stephanie's going
yeah,
after
she's gonna
Ryan.
throw a fit, what's it about now?
Yeah, and it was like almost, like I almost interpreted it as her, doing one of her crazy antics again. But when it came on and that's what it was, I was like, oh, like that took a dark turn. And I know you listened to Kyle and Kim on the Patreon, and I remember them saying, like in an episode, like right when this sort of started about the glow in the dark condoms, the reason why she maybe was getting glow in the dark was so that she could see that he was wearing them. And I think you brought that up. And it had never occurred to me before that. And they were like, oh, that's like really like disturbing. And sure enough, like they
Yeah.
sort of predicted it. And yeah, I was really, I thought that that was like very serious situation, but maybe not presented with the gravity that it should have had. I don't know how you felt
Yeah,
about it.
it's hard to say. I would wonder from like the TLC production standpoint, they go, well, how much of this do we want to show? And this
Mhm.
is delicate, and how do we want to go about it? So I would find like the background of that very interesting. Um I think we saw plenty because, like I said, ugh, I you kind of see her unravel a little bit after, she calls him, I found it odd. She starts looking for her mother's ring,
Yes,
but I'm sitting there like, well, wouldn't he have it? Because didn't she give it to him?
she did at that dinner.
So, she's like, she calls him and says, I'm glad you didn't steal this ring. And it's like, well, you kind of gave it to him, but I give him a lot of credit for returning it, I guess is kind of my bottom line on that. No?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the whole thing, and again, not what's the word I'm looking for, putting down the seriousness of the situation at all.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't know how you trust somebody with something that important in your life, right? Like, that was your mom's ring. I don't know, because her mom alive. Like, I have no
Right.
idea, but
Yeah.
clearly it means something to her, and she just gave it to him. So
Right.
I feel like that required, like, even just saying that makes me feel uncomfortable because I don't think I would. And just kind of knowing the information that we've been presented with. Of course, there's two sides to every story, but um if you trust him enough to give him that, but you don't trust him in what he tells you, and her whole thing is like, I haven't seen you for 10 months. That's a whole lot of time that you could be going and doing other things. If you don't trust somebody to begin with, because you haven't seen them for 10 months and you think that they're lying to you, why are you here? Why are you even doing this
Yeah.
to begin with? Like,
Right.
I don't know. The whole thing, like, and I do like, I think unravel is the perfect word for her because her behavior, I think in general, is a little bit irrational. Like, and maybe
Yeah.
that's just how she is.
Mhm.
But I do think there is something to that, like where her mind is like not okay. And
No,
like
I
we're
agree.
seeing, it's easy to make light of or make fun of in some degree, some of her behavior or whatever, but it seems to me that she is truly an unwell person, just sort of based on her behavior that we're seeing and some of the decisions that she's making. I don't know.
No. Yeah. I agree. I almost wonder if her initial thought after he left was, I have to call him with something, and she went, looking for the ring just to be able to say either I have it or I don't, just, because I mean, you feel a lot of desperation, and I felt really bad for her for that.
Hmm.
And I almost wonder if this is a situation where production should have stepped in more, maybe. Um, so she calls Ryan, they have a quick conversation, and then she calls cousin Harris. She says she needs a good solid friend.
A solid friend.
Friend, yes. Well, we
Uh-huh.
remember the last time he was there for her for support. So
Yes.
and she says, can you come see me tomorrow? And he says, yes, he will. So that will be the
Not a good
cliffhanger
move.
for next week. I'm not feeling good about this at all. We will see what happens,
The
but
other thing that struck me about this whole thing too is that she did call her psychic, who appears to be her friend as well. And I'm not sure if like her friend just happens to be a psychic or if like she doesn't have any friends, and like, and I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean that in
Right.
a, like, she has nobody else to talk to, so this is who she calls to speak to, which again is very kind of sad in a way.
Mhm.
Um, and I just was like, her psychic clearly knew the background and the story, and whether or not that's because she's psychic or because Stephanie calls her and tells her everything, like,
Called and told as my,
right? But like, it was just sort of like, can you believe this? And I was just like, okay, wow, like this woman is multiple layers of something's up. Like there is something not right, whether she's like taking drugs, whether she's mentally unstable, like there's something very wrong here, and I think we'll find out more about it. But
Yeah, and part of it to me is almost like an immaturity. Like she reminds me of myself when I was like 15,
yes,
and
yes,
acting irrational and desperate and not being able to get a pure control over your emotions. So
yes, I was
that's
almost
what
like,
it reminds me of.
yeah, like I was actually thinking that too, and it's almost as if she wants to create drama or like create problems so she has something to do, or like I don't know, like
Yeah.
there's just something about her that is off, and I can't put my finger on it.
So do you think this is the last we see of Ryan? When she says she's done with him, do you think that's a false, impulsive comment, or do you think she's gonna stick to it?
I don't think so, but I hope not.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't think it's good for anybody, and I truly don't feel like Ryan really cares about her, and I think that
No, I
she
agree.
needs to find somebody her speed and like get herself right before she can really have a
And I
relationship with anyone.
say I don't think it's gonna be Cousin Harris either, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully,
What
he
makes you
shows
think
up next
that?
week. Just, just going
Lastly,
with
on a lighter note, I don't think that
yes.
everyone in that hotel wanted to know how much she needed lubricant, and we'll
No,
just leave it
she
there.
said it a few times. The dryness was the indicator of
Oh
yeah,
god.
oh god, yeah. Uh,
The poor people at that hotel. Can you imagine, like, you're just in your room, like, enjoying your night, and
I would be the one, like, in the window, kinda like, "Oh, what's this about now?"
see
Yelling about lubricant,
lubricant.
yes.
My god, what are we doing?
Oh, man. Okay, so, on to Mike and Natalie.
Oh
We're
boy.
just basically been watching a breakup in slow motion, and when I say slow motion, like, let's get to the point here because
Yeah.
this is over. We all know it's over. Everyone, but I think Natalie knows it's over, and I mean, we're hearing the same things over and over again, so that's basically gonna mean we're gonna say the same things over and over again. So, did we talk about the Bluetooth last week?
I don't think so. I meant to bring it up,
Okay,
and
I am upset about this.
I forgot. I think I remembered it, like,
And
right
he
after
wore
we
that.
finished, and I was like, "Damn it."
He wore it in the therapist's office, and I had already said I feel like I'm becoming my mother, and here I would be again because I was like, "You take that damn thing out of your ear and pay attention because that's just rude." I'm sorry, but it is.
What is the point of okay, so I worked for a company that was a major producer of very popular cell phones in about the 2008 year, maybe. I didn't work for the
Okay,
cell phone business, but we got cell phones and like phone stuff for pretty cheap or free in some cases. And that's
okay,
when the Bluetooth earpiece was like a big deal. Like it was like a status symbol. Like people would walk around with it. And I sat and like we had to share cubes with people, and I sat next to the maintenance guy, and he walked around with that thing in his ear all day long and take calls. And I'm like, you are the biggest tool. Like I love, like he was a great guy. Like we were friends, but like I would tell
yes.
him openly, like, you look like the biggest tool with that thing in your ear. Why is this cool? I don't understand.
And that's when it was new.
That was in
You
2008. Is any like
fast
who
forward.
owns a Bluetooth anymore?
I've never had one, and, he looks ridiculous.
It's
Not
very
to
weird.
mention, we've never seen, like, any friends come by his house or any so, like, who
Who you
who are
calling?
you talking to? Who's calling you?
Yeah.
Nobody. We all know it's nobody, so stop. Take it out of your ear.
And
That was
it's like,
probably my favorite part of the episode, to be
I know,
honest.
it's been with us for like 2 episodes now, so,
Yes,
like,
yes.
clearly this is a thing for him.
So, okay, where do you stand on the in general, okay, we're gonna say in general, you're in a relationship with a guy,
Mhm.
his best friend is getting married, and he crashes in her hotel room that do I have the story right? The night of the wedding.
At her house or something, yeah.
Yeah. In general, is that A-okay? Is that like, "Well, it's kinda strange, but if I know them, it's fine?"
Okay, so here's the thing with this. I feel like it's very hard when you're not near somebody to understand what that relationship might be. And I do think that there are cultural differences at hand, right? Like he says, where Natalie comes from, like these types of relationships are non existent, like it's not appropriate.
Mhm.
But here, like, this is what we do. Like, we have guy friends, we have girlfriends, whatever. And so I think that that's like, she can't really get out of that, but also like maybe she hasn't had a chance to see how they are together. It's like Stephanie and Erica. Like Erica was like friends with all of her, like and she maybe had relationships with them in the past, but like Stephanie couldn't get past it because she was this like crazy jealous person. Like that's all I can think of. But
Yeah,
it's like
it's a
I think
good
if you see it
comparison.
and experience it and like understand like these people grew up together, they're like brother and sister, like and you
Right.
meet the person and you have context, I think that helps,
Yep.
but she doesn't. She has no
Right.
context. All she knows is that, he's at this chick's place. Now, I think his story makes sense, and I don't think he would have answered his phone like on a FaceTime with her if he had anything to hide. That's just
Mhm.
my 2 cents about it. But like, I mean, he's explained it to you, it makes sense. So like either you let it go and move on or you
W
don't
well, that's
and
the thing,
be done
yeah.
with it.
Right. There's nothing worse than, "Well, we're going to continue in our relationship, but I'm just gonna hang this over your head forever." Like, I'm very much against that thought process in all ways. So, eh, she brings it up and I'm like, "Oh, here we go." This and y that you can tell it's just gonna go around and around and around. So,
Well,
I
this
I
is
do
Natalie's ring. Like, this is Natalie's ring. Mike has the ring. Natalie has this story. And they use them against each other
Yeah.
constantly. And it
Don't you
just
almost
never
wanna
stops.
float in there and, like, be like, "Okay, guys, you stop doing this, and you stop doing this. Mike, you roll your eyes one more time, I'm gonna throw your Bluetooth into the lake because it's rude. And Natalie, just take a breath and stop with the crazy eyes, and we can get through it." But nobody is budging. Nobody is budging.
No, nobody's
So,
budging.
it's
And
it's
when she put that glass down of like lemonade or whatever and looked at him, if looks could have killed, he would have been dead on the spot. Like
she
she
could have lasers just shooting out.
I was scared. I was like, "Oh my god."
It's quite a talent if you think about it. Like, do you
It's
blink? Don't your eyes get dry? How do you do that?
I don't know. I don't know. Wow. Yeah, I mean,
I would say though, in general, at this point, I'm more sick of him. He says near the end, and I wrote it down in quotes. He said, "I feel like I'm the only one who has ever tried." Yeah, you haven't. I'm sorry, but he
mhm.
has not. Not that I've seen. Um,
I don't agree with that either. I can see why he's frustrated and kind of done with it, but yeah, I don't see that either. I mean, they're doomed. I think ultimately, like with her therapy session, she's looking for him. I think that if he validated her feelings, she could move on, but he's so closed off to her that
yeah,
it's just like there's no acknowledgement. Like I can understand how you feel that way, but like
right,
I would never do that, or it was not the case.
right.
And like, if this is going to be an issue, like X, Y, and Z, like, but there's no budging on either side with anything.
No,
They're doomed. It's not going to happen. They need to
I
move
just
on. They're
yes,
not
I
good
want
together.
her to ask him, like, "Do you want to progress? Yes or no?" And he's gonna say no. So then why are we doing this?
Well,
Why?
at least he told her he didn't want to marry her. Like,
Yeah,
at
finally.
least he was like, you know what? I'm not ready to marry you. Not at
Yeah.
all.
Mm, yeah. So again, not much there, but good gracious,
I'm
they
glad you
frustrate
enjoyed
me.
my
I
illustrations,
loved the illustrations.
my
You
doodles.
really hers was my favorite. I was like, wow, it really has that passion in the eyes that haunts me a little bit. So
Yep.
good job.
And the blush.
The sugar plum fairy blush. Yes, how could we forget? Now, okay, quick question.
Yes.
Does she have lip injections or does she put liner outside of her lips to like do a faux lip injection?
I don't know. She posts things on Instagram and I'm like,
Yeah, I've seen them.
she's very pretty, but oh, like the way she sort of like I don't know, what she thinks is attractive kind of isn't attractive. Like she doesn't need all that. Like she's
She
really
doesn't.
pretty to begin with. She doesn't need all the enhancement. I'm not quite sure about her lips. I mean, people always ask me about my lips. I've had these my entire life. Like
Ah,
so I have
okay.
pictures when
Yes.
I was a kid, like, whatever, but I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I just know when she puts on the bright red lips, it's a lot. It's a lot.
It is a lot.
Uh, so
It is
I'd
a
like to
lot.
see her with straight hair sometime too. I
Yeah,
wouldn't hate that.
yeah,
Just give it a
yeah.
give it a try, Natalie. Get
I
outside
know.
your comfort zone. Okay, Jovi and Yara. Here we go.
Speaking of makeup,
Speaking of makeup, that was my first note. 3 hours to put on her makeup.
it's a
Three
long
hours.
time. It's a lot
Okay,
of time to put on makeup.
if you put all the makeup in the world in front of me and said, "All right, set your timer 3 hours," after 4 minutes, I'd be like, okay, what do I do now? Can I go to bed?" Because I'm stylistically challenged, I admit it. I don't know how to, use pretty much anything, so and I'm also really cheap, so it's
Well,
probably a good
when
thing.
she has that baby, she's not gonna have 3 hours to your makeup. I'm here to tell her. She's gotta find a 15-minute routine, get it down pat.
Yep. Yep. So, no, I agree with that. Do you like her hair extensions?
Do I like them? They're a bit. They're a little bit long for me.
Yeah, it's a lot, and then they go in those straight ringlets where it looks like it doesn't brush out. It's not my favorite, but, hey, 3 hours to put your makeup on. I would be saying, "Don't make me cry," also. Well, you know what? Don't make her cry anyway, but yeah,
Yeah,
especially
I
with the
mean,
makeup. So, they go to the small party, which this is a wedding reception. Am I wrong? This is a like, they conned her into showing up to her own wedding. Thank God she wore the expensive dress, which looked I really like the dress. I am a sucker for a sparkly dress.
and the coat on the way in.
The coat on the
The coat
shoulders.
made the appearance.
I I still don't get it. I'll never get it. I don't own that many coats. I think I own 2 coats.
I have a coat problem, so I can't say that I
Oh,
don't
well,
own that many
mhm,
coats, but yeah.
mhm. There you go. So, they're fighting. I think, and people are really down on Jovi. They think he's an asshole. I think she likes that about him. I think if he was a nice guy, she would not be attracted to him. That's my
Yeah.
theory.
Yeah, that um they're that couple that love to fight and then like it's like this passion and then they have these like terrible fights and they say awful things
Oh,
to
they
each
bang it
other.
out. They bang it
Yeah,
out.
and
Yeah.
then but like they really do love each other underneath all of it. Like
Mhm.
I've had friends that are in couples like this and like we all know one and I think that's sort of how they are. But I I thought the party was lovely. I would probably be a little bit upset if I was abandoned in the middle of a room with 50 people that I didn't know and like I don't speak English as my first language and like Jovi's off doing like keg stands or whatever he was doing. I would probably be annoyed too.
Sure.
Um I thought it was really funny when they started dancing and the mom and the dad are like and first of all like I actually really liked his mom this episode.
Yes.
She was really
Yes.
cute. She was very excited. Like you could tell she put a lot of work into this party for them and it was
Yep.
it was cute. I thought it was really nice of her And for them to be so excited and not like, is she moving here to get your visa
Yep,
sort of
then none of that we
situation.
saw, so that was that was nice.
It was so funny though, because they're like all like off to the side. Oh, aren't they adorable? They really love each other. You can see it in their eyes. And meanwhile, the real situation is Jovi and Yara are telling each other they hate each
"Hate I
other.
hate
She's
you.
telling him to stop touching her
Get
butt,
away
which
from
I
me."
agree with. That was not the time or the place for that. Like I would be like, get your paws off me. This is embarrassing. And yeah, she's calling him a bitch and saying she's gonna beat him up. I'm like, okay, this is cool. But yeah, that
See,
was kind of funny.
this is where I make a Yara versus Natalie comparison because people think it's really cute when Yara is mean. They both said this episode, they both said something about like, "Well, you know what? I'm the beautiful one here."
True.
And it comes off people are like when Yara does it, they're like, "Yeah, that's great." And when Natalie does it, people are like, "Psychopath." So, I find that interesting. I would be so interested to see them switch, like wife swap
It's a
because
good point that you make. I think though that like the relationships that they like the men that they have are so different, right? Like Mike's sort of like, like your guy's guy, like he lives in the woods, like chops trees down or does whatever he
a
does,
very
drives his
simple
truck.
man, very simple
Yeah,
man.
brushes his cat oddly. Like that was
That
so weird,
was
by the
that
way. I was
was
like, what are we doing?
yes. I was
I'm
getting
I'm not
cult
a cat
vibes with
person,
that,
so
and we
yeah,
never
I
want cult vibes
I am
ever.
not a cat person to begin with, so like
Nope, me
I
either.
just get like, ugh. Um, Sorry for all you cat people out there. It's not my cup of tea. But like he's different than Joey. Joey's sort of like, I don't know, like Jovi's like a self-admitted asshole. Like, right, he was like, I was an asshole, like like I was doing this or that, whatever. And I do think like Natalie is like sort of playing the victim and like not really fairly assessing the situation, whereas Yara like isn't being a victim. She's sort of just sticking up for herself and saying like I deserve better than the way that you're treating me. And I kind of admire that about her a little bit, whereas Natalie's sort of like, you're mean to me and like the violin comes out every 5 seconds and she's just
Yeah.
like, yeah, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah, because I mean, I understand when you're pregnant, like I had morning sickness every single day with both of
Me
my
too.
kids. I had exhaustion. I get it, but like, does she have a job? Like, you have to go to a party and you're like, "Oh, this is so like life goes on when you're pregnant.
She
You have
she
to
is
you have to
very
get
dramatic.
up and go and like I wouldn't be able to deal with that much complaining ever.
No,
Never.
she does complain a lot. She is a
So,
little bit of a princess. I
I
I
mean,
mean,
it is
yeah,
gonna get worse when that
no doubt
child
about
gets here. I would imagine. So,
it.
I hope I hope they do another if I wanna see anyone, I wanna see Yara with a newborn. I'm not usually on board for couples on a repeat season, I wouldn't mind seeing that. So,
The first time she gets thrown up on or
yeah,
peed
the
on
puke.
or
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So,
Story of my
how the
life.
white rug holds up.
Yeah, right? Oh, exactly.
Okay, so we'll move along to, Rebecca and Ziad. Okay, my first observation, he's driving the car.
Yes.
I thought I thought they couldn't get a driver's license.
So I was thinking about this. I don't know what the case was with oh God, what was his name? They were the ones that got the ring tattoos. He's from South Africa, Tanya and Sinjin. Um,
Yes.
I don't know what the deal was with him. I don't think maybe he had a license or something like that, but I was thinking about it and it's like, well, I can go to another country and drive because I have my license.
Oh,
So I don't
okay.
why would that be different if you were a tourist or if you were here on a K1 visa?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I just feel like we never see the non-American person drive.
I know.
So,
I
it
did think about it too and I
caught
was
my eye
like,
immediately.
is that
Yeah.
allowed?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right? Well, he was doing a good job.
He might have an
Um,
international license. You can get those too, which like
oh, it's a good
you don't really
idea.
need it, honestly. Like I've been to other countries driving and like nobody cares, but
Oh, there you
yeah.
go.
Yeah.
So she starts pulling a Natalie because she's lecturing him. She
Her
lectured him this whole
insecurity,
episode. pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, her insecurity was showing big time with
It's very unattractive.
yeah.
She said, and I wrote it down, "If a woman in America offers to do anything for you, you say no."
Okay, like, so if I was
That's
like, I don't know, I can't even think of an example, but if I
right.
was just like, "Hey, Ziad, can I get you a water if you come to my house?" He's
Cup of
supposed to say
coffee?
no?
No. It
That's a
means
little,
you
like
wanna sleep with them. Now, granted,
which
if
I
any
don't.
man were to offer to, like, help me move, I would kinda take that as a, like, "Oh, okay, I'll let him help me move, but, he probably wants to sleep with me." Sure. And offering to help, like, that's the last thing I would ever do in my life. I don't care how much I would want the other person, like, to help someone move is terrible,
Oh,
like,
moving is the
way to spend your
worst.
Saturday.
I
So,
hate moving. It is the
yeah,
worst thing ever.
no, I agree with that. So I always find it interesting when she's, like, blaming him for the girl being nice to him. So, like, worry about what your partner is looking at, not who's looking at your partner. If someone's
Right.
looking at your partner, it's be like, "Yeah, my guy's hot, he's charming." That's a compliment. So, why he's getting yelled at for this, I still don't know. I don't know why it's dragged into another day, another episode. It's very unfortunate. So,
I'm glad they got past it though and, had a nice little time
well,
with her family.
he's so easygoing.
He is. I thought he was really great with the kids, like,
Yep.
just playing baseball and kind of joking around and I don't know, he would I really like Ziad. I'm gonna say it again.
He's winning me over rapidly. Yes, yes. A couple new
Um,
shirts and, there you go.
yeah, yeah, like stretch him out maybe a little bit.
Yeah, right. Don't
They'll
put him in
they'll
the dryer. Don't put him in the
he,
dryer.
no, don't put them in the dryer. I think there was two other things, just very quickly about this whole thing because there wasn't like a lot of substance here, I didn't think, but um aside from the fact that I thought that it went very well with her family and I thought Rebecca's daughter-in-law looked a whole heck of a lot like Rebecca.
I did too. I was
I
like,
was like
"This
I
is
thought it was her a
weird."
couple times. I was like, "Whoa, he
Yes.
married his mother."
He
Like
married I thought the same thing. That's really funny. Like, wow, guy's got a type. I would call that questionable. So,
that's a
yes.
Freudian thing, right? And
S
I also thought, um, what was I gonna say? Oh, it kind of puts a hair across my ass is how she talks to him sometimes. Like she doesn't speak English
ugh,
fluently. Like, why? Why are you
why is she
acting
doing
like
that?
that? I don't
That
understand. I find that very insulting.
Oh, it's terrible. He's currently speaking better English than she is because she's leaving, words out like he would be doing when he was, very new to the language.
Yeah,
How are you supposed to learn how to speak correctly if that'd be like if you start talking to your son the way he speaks instead of, teaching
right.
him. It doesn't make
It's
any
very
sense.
weird. It's very
Uh,
weird. I don't like it at all. I
I
feel
think
like
she
it's
dropped a so good on him this week, which that I don't mind because it's kind of his catchphrase and it's cute, but otherwise, use your full sentences. This is what I used to say to my kids, use your full sentence,
it's like she
Use
thinks
your
he's
words.
dumb and it's sort of I don't know. He speaks two languages and you don't. So
Right. Yeah, it's a good point.
anyway, sorry. It's
No,
just
you're
been
fine.
driving me crazy.
It's very strange. It goes with the whole, she always has to point out the age difference. It's things that I think she's proud of. I'm not sure
Mhm.
if that's part of it. But it's like, yeah, my guy's, from another country and I don't know, but and then they end with her lecturing him again. She is trying this blew my mind. She's trying to lecture him for how he's going to feel 10 years from now. Like she won't hear otherwise. Like you're going to want children 10 years from now. Well, he's kind of like, well, right now I don't want I'm fine not having children. She's like, that's not good enough. Well, how do you answer that? Like the ghost of your future comes
It's
down
it's a
and
no-win. It's a classic no-win situation.
cannot win. Nope.
If he
Nope.
says no, that's not the case. She doesn't believe him,
She
and if he
doesn't
says
believe.
Yes, Rebecca, I'm going to, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to want children 10 years from this date
Right.
exactly.
Exactly.
Then what's she going
Didn't
to do?
make
Like,
any sense.
just take him for, like, this is like the whole, like, no trust thing again. It's like, okay, well, if that happens, like, you cross that bridge, but he's telling you that it's not a problem right now. So,
Right.
like, get over the bridge and move on.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah, that age insecurity is just it's one of the if she's willing to deal with it, she needs to deal with it and not bring that into every situation as being a problem because that's gonna get old really fast, really
yes,
fast.
it already is old, and I'm not
No, that's
living it.
true.
It's
Yeah.
it's old watching it. It's just
Yeah. It's like, "Enough,
enough.
enjoy yourself, he's here, finally, how long have they been waiting for this?
And
Start
there's like
talking about your
no
wedding, get your
right.
bed."
There's yeah, get some furniture. Like, call Hannah's dad and like use their like get his dad to help move you in with their truck beds or whatever she offered.
Yes,
Like,
right. Yeah,
there's
so
nothing to fight about. There's nothing to be upset about.
I completely agree. So we will end. Our last couple is Hazel and Tariq. Now, I was laughing because they start off with him talking to us. He's in the ITM, and he says, "Now that her son, we know he's healthy, I'm ready to concentrate on." And he kind of paused, and I was ready for him to say, "Our three-way," but no, I was very impressed. He said the wedding, so
Right.
he threw me off with that.
But then they call up his friend and they don't talk about the wedding. I'm like,
Yeah, they didn't talk about the wedding at all. Uh, Hazel on wine is a treat. She is a delight because we don't usually see a lot of personality out of her
or her saying anything really. She
or her
seems very
talking. Yeah.
shy. Yeah.
Yes. Um, the friend Angela. This is the first friend I think I've ever actually liked on this show. I want a lot more Angela because I
I
really
really like
liked
her
her.
too. Yeah.
Yes. Um, So, Hazel can't wait to spill the beans about what they're plotting, like, she couldn't wait. She says, "I'm looking for a girlfriend," and Angela kind of pauses and goes, "A girlfriend like" you call sometimes you like, I say my girlfriend Lindsay and I are going out. I'm referring to my friend Lindsay, my pal. She says, "Well, what kind of girlfriend are we talking here?" And, Tariq's face, how do you think he feels about this?
He's so uncomfortable.
He's so uncomfortable.
He wants to like like he if he could be invisible at that moment, like that's what he would
He's given a
want.
lot of like
And he's like, "Oh, here we go.
uh,
Here we go."
it's not me, it's not me. But is this a double standard though?
Well, you know what I thought was really interesting is that Angela was like, "Don't let him pressure you into doing this." And he's like,
Mhm.
"Time
Hey,
out. This is her
not
idea. This is not my idea." And it's sort of like, "Oh, okay, Tariq, like, wow, like what a
yeah.
sacrifice you're
My
willing
I'm
to
having
make."
my arm twisted here. Yeah.
Right? Like, I hardly, think that that's the case. I think that, you have to be willing to do or to have an open relationship too. Um, yeah, I wrote down, I'm just doing what Hazel wants. And then I wrote under that, sure, Tariq, sure.
Hey, it's a good way for him to like look like a good guy, so. Um she says in her ITM, "Having a girlfriend in America is my dream." So I don't know. Where do you think her motives are here?
It's weird because I feel like, it's like you feel like these people because you watch them every week, but like I don't. I just like see 3 minutes of her like every week or whatever.
Right?
She seems though, from the very beginning that she was on, she does seem like a very mild mannered, quiet person. Whenever he wrapped like his proposal to her, she was sort of like, "What's happening?" Like it just seems like she's more of like an introverted, quiet person.
Mhm.
However, clearly she has some sort of suppressed desire that she couldn't act upon in her country, and now she feels like she's free to do things in America, which I think is great.
Mhm.
But it's like one of those things where it's like perhaps that should be separate from your relationship with him because clearly like it doesn't go well. And it's sort of interesting how Angela kind of already says like, well, you think that's going to be great, but what if he's paying attention to her on a Saturday night and not you? What's going
Right.
to happen? And it's sort of like, well, isn't that exactly what happened with their relationship with that Minty girl or
Yes,
whatever
it
her name
was.
was?
Yes, minty.
So it's sort of like one of those things where you wonder if she had lived in America the whole time and felt she could be free to explore her sexuality and date women separately from men, if her outcomes would be different, if she would still feel the need to do this. That's all
Yeah,
I can
and
make of it. I don't really know how to explain it otherwise, especially if I mean, if you're self-aware enough to understand that you're going to have jealous tendencies. Some people can be in those types of relationships and not,
right.
it's not for everyone. And so it'll be interesting to kind of see what happens.
You never know too. Hazel could grow very, very attached to the woman, and Tariq could feel left out. You never know.
True.
Do you think we're going to meet a girlfriend this season?
It's a good question. I don't,
It's Corona. We're in the height of Corona at this point. It's last
so,
March, April, I
and
think.
we're on episode 11.
True.
So I'm not sure. I would like to say yes because I would love to kind of see what goes down, but the likelihood is probably no. I
Yeah,
think they're going to keep us
I
on the hook.
I agree. So that's kind of unfortunate. I'm not sure what else we're gonna see out of these guys. More lawn mowing. I want we need a petition. I want more Tariq rapping, and I need it done very soon because if he wants to keep entertaining me, I want the hot sauce rapping now.
I agree. Yeah, that's all content that we could
I mean,
use
how does he not
in our
know
lives.
that's pretty much what everyone is tuning in for? I want the rapping,
I
please.
mean, who wouldn't? It's
I'm
amazing.
sure
It's
that's
about
how.
it's about as amazing as my drawing of Rebecca and
Oh,
Ziad.
that's right. Yes, that's very good too.
And also, I was a little upset that nobody mentioned Stephanie's shorts that I drew.
Oh, that's I okay. I feel bad now because I was kind of confused. I'm like, what is this? But yes, her shorts are always too big. And
Yes.
there's Ryan.
I gave
Yeah.
her like the SpongeBob SquarePants shorts.
Very
And just to be
sponge.
clear, like I don't think I'm some sort of Picasso. Thank you very much. I was just doodling, but I thought they were funny and I wanted to share them with the class. That's
I
all.
enjoy. I will
Some
not
people thought I
share.
was very serious about it.
Oh, well, there you go.
I
I
got a
will not
few
share my
messages.
notes because I have what I call man writing. Like my handwriting it's not cute. So I'm just glad I can decipher what I was scratching
I think I missed my
as I
calling as a preschool teacher, to be honest with you, but yeah,
there you
I love all
go.
that stuff.
Well, it's
So
never too
I
late.
have a question before we adjourn. I know Justin
Yes.
has some very important matters to attend
He is
to, so
on the clock.
yeah,
Yes.
we do want to let him go with reasonable amounts of time. But Discovery Plus.
I don't
So
have it, if that's
okay,
what
so I
you're
was going to
asking.
ask if you have it or not.
No.
I'm a little salty about Discovery Plus just because I feel like there's all these over the top apps now to have, right? Like we have
Mhm.
Hulu and Netflix and like whatever. And it's like, how many things do I have to buy to like get content now? And it's,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's sort of like the age old, like, do I get rid of cable and then just have apps? But then you have so many freaking apps. It's like, I should just have cable. Like, it's like this never ending debate in my mind, at least. I don't know
Yeah.
how many hours people think about this type of stuff, but I'm so annoyed that they have their own thing now because it's sort of like, well, you're not like a whole service, you're just a channel or a network or a group of networks, and now I have to pay more money for that. Like I already pay enough for that. So
Yeah.
I'm rather annoyed that like Pillow Talk has moved over
I
to
miss
Discovery
Pillow
Plus. I
Talk.
really liked, I
Yes.
don't know how you felt about Pillow Talk, but I really liked Pillow Talk because it was sort of like a quick way to like get the main things out of the episode if you didn't have time for like 2 hours at that moment, but, like,
Oh,
sort of get other
yeah.
people's perspective.
Mhm.
And then there's a couple of shows on there that I'm sort of like, "Oh, like, I really
Yeah, I'm
want to
like,
see
I would
this."
watch that if it was on, my platform. So, no, I agree. I agree. We're missing
So
out on the dating show, I think.
yeah, so what are the ones that you've seen that you're like, "Oh, I would be tempted to buy the app just to watch these?"
The dating show is the one that I remember seeing where I was like, "That looks interesting," and now they're all kind of blending together at this point. So what
So
else am I
my
forgetting?
DVRs picked up a couple of, like, their teaser, like, they want you to buy Discovery
Yeah,
Plus, so they'll give you
okay.
1 episode. So there was, like, a game show with couples, sort of like,
Oh,
how well
that's
do you
right.
know each other?
Mhm.
And I was kinda like, I didn't watch that, I was not interested in that at all, mainly because Pow was on, and I was like, "I
Oh,
can't."
yeah,
With
no.
her. There was one, about, like, what they're doing now, and that had people like Courtney or, like, people that we haven't heard from in a long time, and, I mean, Courtney is
Okay,
gross.
they should be giving that to us for free because there's no way
Exactly.
any of those people could make an entire season. So,
Yes. Yes.
this
So,
shouldn't
I could
no.
care less about something like that, but the one was, like, 90 Day The Single Life, and it's like they gave us a preview of that this week, and it was like Mohammed and Danielle were gonna meet up for the first
That's
time, and I
right.
was like, and then, of course, you have to buy it to watch the rest of
Yeah.
it, and then, Big Ed's back out in the
Ed's
market in taking
back.
pictures and, like, superhero outfits,
Oh, he's so
and then
gross.
there's a pillow talk for the single thing, and I was just like, I want it now, but I'm holding out hope that maybe it doesn't work out and we
Yeah,
eventually get
they'll
them
change their
on
mind.
standard cable because I really don't want to do it, but maybe I will for like the 3 free months once all the episodes are out and then like cancel.
Binge and cancel. Yes,
Yeah,
there you go. Not
we'll
a
see.
bad idea.
I don't want to pay $5 more for it. I don't feel like I should have
No,
to.
I know, I know.
It's so
I go through
annoying.
that with Patreon, like, there
Yeah,
are a few, people that I subscribe to on Patreon, and I'm like, "Okay, if I get any more of these," I'm up to, like, $40 a month on
I
people's
know.
Patreons, which I love to support them, like Kim and Kyle, I give them $5 a month, and I'm happy to do it. I think they do a really good job, but I can't do it with every podcast that I enjoy because before I know it, that those $5 and $10 do add up. So,
It gets out of control.
yeah, we're in the same boat with
Well,
that.
we'll see, but hopefully someday we'll get to
Oh,
see the single life.
and before I forget, I almost forgot our big news. We have news, Allison. Are you ready? We have
Okay.
someone joining us next week.
Oh, that's right.
Yes. So,
I was like,
if
"What is
anyone's
this news?"
wondering who our, special guest is going to be, I'm not going to tell you. You have to tune in and watch. So,
I think
we're
they'll be
gonna
very delighted.
I do too. I'm excited for it.
Yes.
So,
This person, I almost said their gender, will be a very good
ooh.
addition.
Yes, yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, well, we'll find out next week.
All right. Well,
All
good
right.
luck, Justin, on your mission,
Yes, good luck, Justin. Bye, guys.
and we'll see you next week.
Yes.